keep this in mind. If there's ever a conflict, it always defaults to what is best for the employee. Welcome back, folks. It is episode 22 of It's About Your Paycheck. Today we are covering, can an employer take my entire paycheck? But before we get into it, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm good. Happy Saturday to you, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm doing good, man. Thank God for the weekend. The weekend is here. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Excited about content and getting our stuff together. I was telling somebody recently talking about support staff and being in payroll and HR. We're always support staff and articulating how my role and whatnot. And I was just like, you know what? The boring stuff the things you think is boring is fun for me. So
Hmm.
that's how your support staff should be. Wherever you work, whatever you do, if what's been ringing true for me very recently is if you're doing what you love, you will never work a day in your life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's it, man. What about you, man?
Bro, I'm good. Just excited. We're having some discussions about things that we're going to share later that I'm excited about for us that we're going to be doing. We're going to be rolling out to the other show. We've been rolling out the transcripts from our episodes on LinkedIn. Those have been received.
Yep,
Excited for that stuff, man. I'm looking forward to the future and where this is going to take us, bro. Honestly, it's good to be in this position that we're in. I definitely have a lot of gratitude to be in the spot that we're
no
in,
doubt.
that we decided to do this, man. About
Word,
it for years, and then we
word.
just did
Yeah,
it 2 years, 2 or 3
yep.
years ago. We were like, let's do it.
No, oh, that's when we started, but we talked about it for
Yeah,
5 years before that. It was an
yeah. It was
idea
like it's
that
been
we
like seven,
birthed.
7, 8 years.
Yeah, it was an idea we birthed in the first year that we knew each other.
Yep,
And that was in 2016,
2015,
20
2016. Yeah,
2016. Yeah, well, it couldn't be 15 because 16 is the first year I moved down here. 16, yeah, 2016, me and Walt met each other and started working together. And right away, just the entrepreneurial fire just was like, bing, boom. I think one of the first things you told me, you has a barber shop
no, it was a
car
burger.
wash idea.
It was a burger and car wash. So
Yes,
you would
that
let your
still
car go
works.
through you would
Still
let your car go through the thing, and while you're not in the car, or you can order it and eat it in the car before you go into the car. Really
yes.
detailed thing, bro, and you get some banging food. It's quick, and it was called Quickies Car Wash. You remember?
Oh my god! No, I don't remember the name, but I knew it was something with like
Yeah.
something with eating and two things that you wouldn't
Hmm.
normally put together. But and it's still a good idea.
Oh,
So
there's a place. There was a place in Florida that I saw somewhere that was set up like that. They had a car wash, and then on the inside they had a grill next to it. They tried it out.
it's yeah, yes. Why not? It makes sense. You're gonna be here for at least 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, even longer than that. Sometimes, depending on the line, right?
Yeah, if you want a nice detail on your car,
Yeah.
and,
Oh,
and, and
that's
that,
an hour and change, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, like you get somebody to go in, you get it smelling nice, vacuumed out, polished up, waxed, whatever it is you want the
Yep.
works, and you want it like, and remember it was like the hand, you wanted people to actually
The
do it
hand
like
wax and stuff.
the hand
Yes,
wax and
yes,
stuff.
by
Yeah,
hand.
so
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Oh man, then it was Doughboys. Me and Walt was
yeah,
gonna buy this pizzeria spot. And then we found a spot that was for sale. It had the pizza ovens. It was a great spot. I don't know if it was a great location. What do you
no, it
think?
wasn't
Was this? It wasn't
because
right
because of where it was at, there was no other businesses around it. It was just secluded where it was at. So
in the
you had, oh,
yeah.
okay, I see nothing but
But you
trees
know
around here.
what? Had look, that was shoot. We would have hit pay dirt. You know why? Because that was before the pandemic.
Yes,
And then everything moved right after that. Everything started moving to this ghost kitchen. I think it was even before Uber Eats,
yes,
right? All the right before we would have caught such a delivery wave if we had
yes,
gotten
bro.
that spot, man. But just to show you folks, like we've been on this entrepreneurial journey and it's financial freedom. It was something very early on for me that was like, it's not about the money of it all. The dollar amount didn't matter. For me, it's about being financially free. And it's still I'm still on that journey and we are still on that journey. But yeah, we found the spot and everything. It was so exciting and Again, it was just we were broke as hell, so it didn't matter how much they were selling it for. They would have
Yeah,
to give it to us to.
we can't give away all the ideas because we got tons of ideas
Oh
and businesses
gosh, they
that we
go on
have.
for all day. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. No,
tons
for
of
sure.
ideas.
What
Once
else?
that money
Yeah,
comes in, oof, y'all just wait.
yeah, exactly. And we already have a roadmap out. That's one thing, folks. You got to plan. Something that Steve Harvey got famous for quoting: "If you fail to plan, then you are surely planning to fail." You definitely got to have some plan. What you do a vision board and stuff like that too, right? You
Yeah,
gotta.
man, I love my acronyms. Like, so
Yes.
I came up with one that's called TIP, TIPP. So you think, you investigate, you plan, and then you start with the process. So
Yes,
like,
I love it.
yes. So like,
Tip. Tip.
yes,
Yes, I love it. Yes, bro. Yes, yes. Let me can I Oh man. I'm gonna just tell you,
yeah.
and a wave of emotion just hit me as I want to say it for you because folks, we are witnessing a rebirth of Walter
Hmm.
William Duncan III over here. I can't explain to you how happy I am to see this man flourish. He's always been I want to say consummate professional. I was thinking about this, but I don't know what consummate means. I just know it's used in that phrase. But you're such an amazing, he's always been a great professional. Just
So,
nice person, amazing professional, has had his demons like we all do, right?
yep.
But right now, in this moment, God damn it, man, you are you're going through this metamorphosis and you shedding that nonsense. You shed it. I see it before my eyes how you're growing and how you're evolving. And just, yo, thanks for picking me up when I'm down. I've been chaotically busy for the last few weeks, and Walt just picked up the baton and said, "This guy's busy and I'm going to go ahead and take the reins and see do what I got to do and do take keep pushing things forward." And man, bro, you should be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. And man, God has got wonderful things in on the plate for us. I always quote Pitbull when he said, people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, Pitbull, you so lucky." No, the harder I work, the
The
luckier I
luckier I
get.
get.
And we are the example of that because we are grinding, we stay focused, but we love everything we do. We get excited about these things that folks don't pay attention to. You know what I mean? Man, bro, love you, man.
Love
Good
you too, bro.
stuff, bro.
Thank you for that. Thank
Good
you.
stuff, man. Yeah, bro, I see it, man,
Appreciate
and
you,
keep
man.
it
Appreciate that. You
likewise.
you
So,
you've been a help, man. You've been a help. So
whew,
not gonna drag it out.
likewise,
Not gonna drag it out. But you know what you mean to me as my brother and my friend, and I
likewise,
appreciate
man.
that. Thank you. Thank you.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. And yeah, man, no doubt. We do have a show for you today, folks. we excuse me, bro. Man, I'm sorry, man.
You okay?
Nah, I'm feeling a little sick. Which reminds me, crap, man, I need to put in my sick time.
Oh, what system do you use?
Oh, Time Track Go. The simply better employee time clock software that is going to make your life easier. I don't know if you know, man, but it already has a unique graphical employee time card. And it's awesome because it helps you quickly identify and fix the mistakes.
That's right. Now that you say that, they just announced the addition of an automatic PTO accrual earnings, so you can say goodbye to those manual calculations. Time Track Go's new automatic PTO accrual feature takes the hassle out of tracking those earned and accrued times, assuring accuracy and consistency for both employees and HR teams.
Oh, that's golden. That's awesome. You know what? That's right. I remember that. I read that you can choose from various rules like yearly, monthly, pay period, hourly, and hourly percentage to seamlessly align with your company's policies. It includes new state sick leave, awesome because I'm not feeling good. That's going to help. And you can do vacation hours that automatically increase with length of service.
Man, like, how could someone find out what a simply better solution could do for their business?
Oh, to learn more, they're always doing a 14-day free trial. someone should go to their website at www.timetrackgo.com. That's TIMETRAK go.com. Or if they want to call, the number is 888 321 9922. Let's go.
Let's go.
Like I
It's
said, we're talking
yeah.
about can an employer take my entire paycheck? But before we have pay news segment that we would like to throw some articles out there for you, throw some pay news out there for you. Walt has the first one, so go ahead and take it away for us, sir.
Thank you, sir. You know, as we say, it's about your paycheck is the first place you want to come and begin your financial wellness journey, right?
That's right.
So we're going to offer you some tips. We had a show about different budgeting and saving and stuff like that, but we want
Yeah.
to give you some resources. That's basically what the news I have. So NerdWallet had a fascinating or great article to talk about the best budgeting apps that are out there. So I'm just going to give you those six and tell you their names and tell you where you can find them at. The top ranked one is YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. It's an actual app.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
So it's recommended. It's recommended for its hands-on, zero-based budgeting. And
No
then
doubt.
the second one is Good Budget. It's recommended for its hands-on envelope budgeting.
Yes.
The third one is Every Dollar. It's recommended for simple zero-based budgeting. The next one is Empower Personal Wealth. It's recommended for tracking wealth and spending. The number five is Pocket Guard. It is recommended for a simplified budgeting snapshot. And the last one, number six, is Honeydew, DUE, recommended for budgeting with a partner. So if you have a significant other or you have a roommate that you're close with and you budget together, Honeydew might be the app for you to research. So where can you find these apps? You can find them on at the Apple Store or Google Play, and you can go look at the costs and the ratings for each of those apps on there as well. So that way you can do your research, you can find any potential drawbacks and any other good reviews that you need to that are provided for your consideration when you're trying to find an app that fits for you. Additional resources, the article that you may find in the article is NerdWallet has budget planners that they include in the article, online budget spreadsheets, budget calculators, and expense tracker apps. Yes, they mentioned those six best budgeting tools, but they offered other resources in that article as well. Be sure to check it out. We'll include it in the show notes once the episode posts. And thank you to the
Fresh.
author Elizabeth Ayula. I believe I said it right, Ayula. So she's the author of this article by NerdWallet, and that's what I had.
Dope. I just want to throw out there because zero based budgeting is something I had to look up when I first heard the phrase years ago. Somebody was trying to be anywho, they were being like, "Oh, zero based budgeting," and, and I didn't know what it
Uh,
meant, right?
okay, okay.
So I did find. Oh, come on. I just found a really good definition for it for folks who may not know is zero based budgeting is a method of budgeting in which all expenses must be justified for each new period. The process of zero
Mm,
based budgeting starts from a zero base, and every function within the organization, or in this case, our household, is analyzed for its needs and costs. So the budgets are then built on what is needed for upcoming period regardless of whether each budget is higher or lower than the previous one. So
yeah,
you start from scratch every time you create a new budget, right? And you're like looking at your expenses and you look at what you spent, but like, all right, nope, start from zero again. So
I have another
the
definition too.
oh,
If you
go
want,
ahead.
so thank you for saying that. So this one says that zero-based budgeting is when your income minus your expenses equal zero.
Income
So
minus
so
expense equals
so
zero.
here's an example. If you make $5,000 a month, after everything you pay, give, and save and spend, it should add up to that $5,000.
Yes.
Right. So that's
Okay.
zero-based budgeting. So like when you get to the point
Oh,
like, hey,
okay.
I make three
I
thousand
mean,
dollars and
yeah.
then after everything I spent and saved, that totals up to $3,000. It's basically like ticking and tying everything. That's what I think it
Oh,
sounds like to me.
I like this one too, folks, because it's you gotta go research it because it is a little. It could take a little minute. A method of budgeting in which all expenses must be justified for each new
Yes.
period. So that's good.
Yes.
So you got to give yourself a period, right? The
Yes.
quarterly, monthly, whatever. And you got to say, okay, I spent $300 on food last month or eating out, which is like
Hmm.
the biggest culprit in my household. And what am I going to spend? I'm going back to zero. So
Yes.
you got to justify. Am I going to spend $300 again? No, I want to spend $100 maybe. Just sidebar. One of the things I try to balance out is, all right, if we're going to eat out a lot, then don't buy as much groceries. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because then, if
Yes.
right, most of us do both. And then
Yes.
I always think about that picture. There's like a zombie looking at back at you, and it's like the caption is the veggies I bought last week looking
Yes.
at me.
Yes. Yes, bro. That's yes.
You try to be healthy and stuff, and then next thing you know, you out getting tacos, and there you go.
Yes. One something that works for me is if I do order out,
Uh huh.
I order out enough so I have food for at least 2 days.
Yes. I yes. I just thought about that yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make these because my household is so tough, folks. I have all age groups in my household, literally, except infant baby. The youngest one is
Yeah.
9, right? So 9 to 70. It's so tough to satisfy everybody in one fell swoop. And I just said, you know what? From going forward, I'm gonna try to start ordering like a tray of food instead
Yes.
of, oh, what do you want? What do you want? Get out of here, man. You want to go cook, right, man? Get out of here. I'm getting this, and if you want to eat, you're gonna eat this.
Yep.
Because if y'all have suggestions, please hit me up. I'm
Yep.
struggling over here trying to feed these fools, man. My article is late breaking news. Google has fired an employee who publicly protested the company's work for the Israeli military.
Whoa.
During a presentation by an executive with Google's Israeli branch on Monday, the now former Google cloud engineer stood up and shouted, "I refuse to build technology that powers genocide or surveillance."
Ooh. Wow.
Link is in the show notes. I just grabbed that from it. I still don't understand the war. I still don't understand how in this day and age there are two wars that are going on in this world that have been going on for months, maybe a year. How long has the
Yeah.
Ukraine and the Russia been in war? Maybe a
It's
year.
months. Yeah.
Like, how is this possible in this day and age? And then to the point where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do a ceasefire today." What? How about this
Hmm.
ceasefire? Period, and take this to the table because at the end of the day, it's gonna be about money, right? So, what's up?
It's actually the invasion started February 24th of 2022.
22.
Two
Oh
years.
my gosh, are you talking about 2 years? This war in the Ukraine is that's crazy, man. This is not a political show, although we say talk about things that intertwine with politics, but we're not gonna. I have no idea, folks. Okay, I have no idea. All I know is some of my dearest friends are from Israel, and I still don't know what it is. Like, what I don't say anything because I be like, I don't know what's right, what's wrong. What's up?
Honestly, in this case, this employee did what this former Google employee did what they thought was right
Correct.
by them,
Right.
right?
Yep.
There's other people that would say, "Hey, I don't agree with it, but I'm gonna get these coins that I need to pay my family
Yeah.
with." You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah. I hope that they were in good financial situation to be able to do something like that because 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So it's very
Yeah.
tough for most of us to say, I quit and walk out because on our morals, our values, or whatever. But I get
Yep.
it. Look, I understand. Like you say, he's standing on business on his business, and that was my share for yeah, for sure, man. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. Again, we're talking about. Oh, do I go first? We're talking about, can an employer take my entire paycheck? Here's some key points and tips for employees regarding whether an employer can take their whole paycheck or not, along with some guidance and on how to protect against these situations, right? So,
Yeah.
first thing and foremost, know your rights. Get familiar with the federal and the state laws regarding wage and hour regulations. So DOL, wage and hour law, and that, but it exists, folks, on two different levels. It exists at the federal level, that's the DOL, Department of Labor, and they have wage and hour laws. They also, one of the major acts or laws that they're responsible for is the Fair Labor Standard Act, FLSA. Some people say FLISA. I don't really like that term, but I feel like it's
Where's the
rude to
E?
people who are named Lisa.
Yeah, where's the E from?
Yeah, exactly. FLSA, and not to be confused with FMLA, which is the other good fair labor stand. I'm sorry, the other DOL kind of law, federal legislation. Those are two federal legislative acts that really impact worker rights and work benefits. So you need to be familiar with those because the FLSA dictates minimum wage, overtime, and other wage related matters at the federal level, while
Mm,
individual states have a different set of rules and laws and
yeah.
regulations. So as an employee,
Yes.
it's tough because we have to say, okay, what are our rights? There's a federal standard and there's a state standard. If there's ever a conflict, keep this in mind. If there's ever a conflict, it is always defaults to what is best for the employee. Okay? Keep that in mind, folks. So it's our rights and we have to know those rights. So that's the number one thing. And two is we have to understand what's permissible about deductions. What are employers allowed to do in our paycheck? And generally, they're allowed to make deductions for your taxes, right? Your social security contributions and other legal mandated withholdings, of course, like our benefits, our medical. And then if you voluntary elected, if you chose for
Hmm.
things to come out of your check, you're giving the employer permission for those things to come out. So those are the easy ones, right? But you also have to keep in mind if you're in a union, this is the number three. That was two, this is
Mm,
three. If you're in a union, you have to check your employment contracts and agreements, right? Which even if you're not in a union, you have to check your contract. If you have a
no matter
contract
what.
to
Yes.
work, think about that. If you sign something to contract to work and you didn't read that through, shame on you because
Yeah.
that could have spelled out something that impacts your pay. I just spoke to a
Yes.
young man that didn't read his contract and got heavily disappointed because something didn't happen right, and but the contract read a certain way. So
Yep.
you have to read that, and if you're in your union, you have your CBA, your collective bargaining agreement, which will dictate and can override whatever the law is because you're saying,
Yep.
"Oh, I'm agreeing to this. I'm in the union." So when you go into a union and you sign up and not take the job, you're agreeing to all the rules, regardless of
Hmm.
what the state and federal say.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. And then,
And
of course,
yes,
what's
before
up?
you continue on that,
Yeah, yeah,
make,
yeah, yeah.
you want to make sure that you actually keep a physical copy for yourself.
Oh, please, yes.
Copy
Ooh,
for yourself.
and a fully executed copy.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Here's what I mean. If fully executed means that you signed it and your employer signed it, and you have a copy of that one. Okay.
Yes.
Because your employer and you are out of compliance if you don't have a fully executed copy. So that means you did if it's not fully executed, if it's not signed by all parties, it's not really ratified. I'm using these legal words, but it's not really in place. You know what I mean? It's not
Yes.
real. It's not
Yep.
real if you didn't have that, if both signed. And you may be like, oh, I know I signed it. I know I saw this. Yeah, but if do you have a copy? Because now the burden of proof is on the person who has the problem. Oh, do you have a
Yep.
fully executed copy?
Yes.
We got to keep those things in mind. My last one before I pass it off to Walt is state by state. Here's what you got to know the state law. And look, you probably only work in one or two states at best. So it's not hard for us as employees to go research the law in our state. And here's what they're going to cover. Okay. Every state law are going to cover one, two, three things that you got to be mindful of. What an employer can take out of your check. Here's a good one. What the employers cannot take out of your check. Okay. And the penalty if the employer does violate that state law.
Yes.
Keep those in mind. Basically, at the state level for deductions, And if you're wondering if we answered the question yet, can an employer take an entire paycheck? The answer is it depends, right?
Hmm.
It depends on all the things that we're saying. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, you got to go over all the things that we're talking about. Can they
Yeah,
take it? What they can't take, and what the penalty is to the employer if they do violate. Yeah,
you have
that's what
to
I have.
empower yourself. You have to educate yourself. Thank you for saying that. All that stuff, Brian.
Yep.
So the onus is on us as employees, right? We
Yep.
have to go out and educate ourselves and not just automatically trust that our employer is doing the right thing. And it may
No.
not be or
Correct.
any egregious behavior from the
Malice. Yep.
employer. It could just, yeah, it might not be any malice with it. It just could be an oversight,
Yeah.
honest humanistic
Yeah.
oversight, and they just not
Ignorance.
don't
They didn't
realize
know.
it, ignorance.
Yep.
And that's why you need to read those things. That's why you need to read those things and go through it as much as you can. People, I know people don't like, remember that stat we had a couple of shows ago about the employee handbook, about how many people avoid it. I think it said like almost 30,
Yes.
40%
S-
like avoid it, or I think it was more than that, right?
No. Yeah, I think it was 60% actively avoided.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So by doing that, you could be missing out on stuff. And I like what you said about the employer violations for your last point, number five, because some employees, they'd be like, they may not pursue that. They may just
Yep.
allow the employer to be like, okay, we'll get it fixed and get you taken care of. No, but what else am I entitled to potentially because you didn't do this? What does the state say?
Yep.
Thank you for those, Brian. So
It's
I go ahead.
yeah, it's real quick. It's 60% of employees avoid reading their company handbook.
Ugh.
Oh gosh.
Yep. Yep. So I'm just gonna
And
go through some tips for
yeah,
you. Go
go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just thinking, and I said this before, and at the risk of sounding corny, there is definitely good information in there. Pretend that there's $100 bill at the end of that employee handbook that you get.
Mm, yes.
Pretend that there's $100 bill at the end of it, because there is definitely information in there that will either make you money or save you money in your employee handbook. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
What can you do as the employee, right? I have 5 points that you for tips and stuff like that. So number one,
Perfect.
keep accurate records. So you want to maintain detailed records of your work hours, your wages, and any deductions made from your paycheck. Keeping this documentation, it can be crucial, especially if you need to dispute any unauthorized or excessive deductions with your employer or any regulatory agencies, right? The second point is you want to communicate. You might want to be the one to start the conversation, right? Or be a part of the conversation with your employer. So, especially if you believe your employer has been making unlawful deductions from your check, you want to address those immediately and promptly. And but you want to maintain your professionalism while you're doing that with your employer, right? And I know sometimes it can be hard because you could be riled up. It could be cause you to get in your emotions, especially if it impacts your day to day
Yep.
living and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it impacts how you're able to provide for your family. Right. I
Yep.
understand that, but you want to try to do your best to, as an employee, to remain professional during those conversations because
Yep.
many of these disputes, as we know, can be resolved through open, clear, concise communication, and
That's
we're
right.
going over those laws and agreements, right? And again, as to Brian's point, you have to understand that there are different federal regulations versus state regulations, right?
Yep.
So you have to be mindful of that. And also, when you're looking for stuff, you want to make sure that you find a reliable source. Just don't follow Susie or Sam on TikTok
Yeah.
just because they're saying
Oh
something that
gosh.
resonates
Yeah.
with.
Validate. Yep.
Yeah, check. Go to all states have a state site
Yep.
that you can go to, and the federal government has sites that you can go to directly
Very yeah.
to find it out from
Very
the
yep.
source.
Yep.
So if it's getting to the place where you have to get legal involved, you want to find some legal assistance if that's necessary, right? If you're
Hmm.
unable to resolve it with your employer directly, you might want to consider like a consultation with an employment lawyer or contacting your state's Department of Labor for assistance, which I've seen many times in my career where somebody called the state and a state representative called the company and
Really?
yeah, hmm
Oh
I've
wow.
seen it. I've seen it.
Oh
Yep.
wow. No
Yep.
doubt. There you
They
go.
Yeah, because those lawyers or the state representatives can provide guidance on your rights and
Yep.
options for any recourse under those state and federal laws that we are discussing. Number four, you want to be vigilant against wage theft. Unfortunately, some employers have stolen from their employees. I've seen it. We did
Yeah.
a true payroll crime on it about an
Yep.
employer in the UK who was willfully not paying people OT. So wage theft, including unauthorized paycheck deductions, is unfortunately common in some industries. So you want to stay informed about common wage theft practices and report any instances of suspected wage theft to the appropriate authorities. What's up?
You made me think about, just for, so folks know, if
Hmm.
your manager shaves off time, it doesn't necessarily need to be overtime. They're trying to save against it, but it could
Yeah.
be just like, oh, you clocked out 10 minutes after your end time. I'm
Hmm.
putting it at 5. That's wage
Yeah.
theft. Okay.
Yes.
As a HR professional, I always warn my managers, meaning the managers I support, to that they cannot do that. That is illegal, and the solution is coaching. You can end up getting fired for it,
Yes, bro.
okay? And that is what HR's recommendation is. Hey, you can't steal their money. You can't do that. You can't do wage theft, because that's what it is. Now, if you're mad about it, you have to have a conversation with this employee. If they're
Yeah.
violating some type of work policy, you have to have a conversation. And then if you have to have multiple conversations, then folks, hey, if you're violating your policy, and your boss is going about it the right way, it can lead to termination, because work
Yes.
policies. But even in at will states, folks, we have protected classes, we have all these things. Know your rights, because
Yeah.
just because you're in, I love when I hear, oh, I got fired because we're in an at will state. No, you didn't. I'm in HR. You got fired because you're bad at your job,
Yeah.
or you did something, you violated in some way. Please, if you know your rights, we are very well protected. I want to say that.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. It reminds
Yes,
me
sir.
not to drag it on too much as we get ready to close out the episode, but I remember a situation. I don't know if you shared it or if it was me or somebody else, but I remember that there was a manager who would say, "Oh, I'm gonna round your hours to the closest. I'm gonna round your time to the closest
No,
hour.
the hell you
So
ain't.
if you work 8.5 hours, I'm gonna round it down to 8. Let's say, oh, because we need to stay under budget and this and that. And this manager did not know what she was doing was illegal. She thought, oh, I'm being a good employee. And they're like, oh, she's always under budget. She's always this. She's always that. There's never any OT. There's never any of that. Until one day there was a call that the professional got and said, "Hey, I'm just checking because we don't know if it's right or not. A lot of the people here don't speak English, so we're trusting what the manager is saying. So we just want to know, hey, is this correct?" It opened up a can of worms. So please, like to Brian's point, know your rights, do your research, which leads to the last point that I have is know your resources. I spoke to it a little bit earlier, but you want to know who you're getting your information from. Like, just
Yes.
don't trust Susie and Sally. Even listening to us, this is the place for you to
Yeah.
start.
Fact check,
We'll give
please.
you
Yep.
the nuggets, but go to the
Yep.
directly to the source. Go directly to your state site. Go
Yep.
directly to the federal site, the IRS or whatever it is. The DOL.gov. Go to all these different sites where you can find this information at, and you can Google it, and Google will take you right there to the official state site. So you want to familiarize yourself with those resources available to help protect your rights as an employee. To what Brian spoke to earlier, if you're in a labor union, any
Mhm.
advocate organizations, or government agencies that are responsible for enforcing wage and hour laws. So know your
Yep.
resources. Being aware of your rights, understanding applicable laws, and staying vigilant against potential wage theft will help guard you against having your wages or paychecks deducted in full without proper authorization. All right, man. So we move on to the last segment of our show, safe talk, and it should be a fairly simple question or response here. But Should employees take more responsibility for not understanding their pay rights, Brian?
Should employee Wow, say I read this wrong. Should employees take more responsibility for not understanding their pay rights? Yeah. Yeah, it as a HR and payroll professional for over 20 years now, I've always told folks some of the onus of a pay error is on us as employees, right?
Yes.
Especially ones that are in our benefit, right? There's sometimes that, oh, payroll's not doing something. HR forgot to do this or apply a certain deduction to my check. Oh, they forgot I getting more money. Eh, something's gonna catch up. Something, and guess what? Some of that is on you, like on us as employees to say, all right, look, I'm gonna let this go a couple time paychecks. Maybe they need to catch up. But after a while, if something is, let's say for instance, you're in a state or you move from Florida to Georgia. That this is an easy one. You move from
Hmm.
Florida to Georgia. Florida doesn't have any income tax. Georgia does,
Yep.
right? So now, let's say you move from Florida to Georgia, you're in Georgia now, and you updated your address and everything, but maybe the tax hasn't gotten to you yet, and because some systems are not automatic, you have to folks behind it have to update manually and update and apply that tax. And shoot, if they're not set up in Georgia, it may take it even a little longer if you didn't tell anybody. So there's a factors here, right? So now they still got you on Florida, but I'm not paying taxes. Guess what? When that catches up to you, you're going to owe that back tax, right? Because your job is going to, if they do it right, they're going
Yep.
to switch it as of the day it should have been with first effective date. Now, if
Yep.
that's back in a year ago, guess what? You're going to owe Georgia for a year. We think we're being slick sometimes and we're saving money, but it's on us. So that you have to raise your hand sometime. Hey, folks, I moved, I changed my address, but my state didn't update yet. My stack taxes didn't update yet. Oh, okay. Thank you for letting us know. Now, again, if the team is good and the HR, we're gonna catch that really quick, right? But
Yeah.
that's just an example of how it is. So yeah, what do you think?
I think my answer is yes, and the, the employers could do more to help educate the employees as well. But
Agreed.
yes,
Agreed.
we as employees have responsibility to educate ourselves on the stuff, and a lot of times we
Agreed.
don't. We just trust what the employer is doing, trust what they're saying, and as long as we get a direct deposit or we get our
Hmm.
check, some of our stubs when we get
That's right.
paid at all.
Yep. Yep.
Some of us don't even look.
Professionals, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
And that's
like
at any level.
professionals like us. Like
Mhm.
there's some payroll pros out there or HR pros right there that, hey, my amount is the same. It's been around the same. I got pays and the bills. Hey, that's it. I'm good.
All good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
and yeah, and then it comes out,
You're right.
and then there was a situation where I remember it was, I don't know if it was a payroll pro, but or somebody, I know it was somebody in HR, but they didn't check their benefit deductions. And their family was pretty healthy for the most part. And then something came up and they had to take their kid to the doctor and then find out like, oh, you only have single coverage for yourself. You don't have your family covered on your insurance.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Life
And
events. Life
yeah, and
events have to happen
they were
right
like,
away, folks.
they were like, what? What,
Yep.
like, that's what I selected when I enrolled. Oh no, look right here, and they printed out the
That's a
enrollment
great
sheet,
example.
and boom, you want to check
Yes.
those things, especially at the open enrollment. Make sure that they got your
Yes.
elections, because sometimes a clerical error can happen
Yes.
on either side, you as the
Yes.
employee or us
Yes.
as the employer, right?
Yep.
So do your
What
due
is it? To err
diligence.
is human. Yep.
Yes. So do your due
Yeah.
diligence, man.
Such a great call out for, I just want to touch on the life event piece, folks, that you have to update your HR sooner than later. There is a limit. HR, if they want to, they can reject your claim if you're outside of your life event notification period. You know what I mean? If you call HR and your kid is 6 months, a year old, and you've been like, oh, wait, by the way, I need to update my insurance for I just had a child or something like that. That's probably a bad example because you probably would need the insurance sooner than that. But whatever the case, maybe divorce or marriage where it's not, you're not really thinking of it, and they can reject it. There is a notification period. So again, read your employee handbooks. And these things might be, should, and will be in these one in somewhere in your policy and your procedures and your benefit package. We got to read these things, and that, but not for nothing. That that's what how I read it, the employer part of it.
Okay.
Yes, employers need to do more, or guess what? Just rely on us, because this is your first step in financial wellness journey and the only stop for employee information.
Yep.
So until employers catch up, we are here for you folks. Our whole purpose is to
Yes.
empower the employee, right? We did this because we have friends and family that were literally like, I don't know what my pay stub says, and I'm
Hmm.
scared to ask my company. I'm
Yep.
scared to ask. I don't know. I don't want to ask. I don't want to seem stupid. I don't want to seem silly. I don't want to upset them. I need this job and blah blah. Are you folks? You have to understand that if you're a good employee, the rights are in our favor. We
Yes.
have employee rights, and we have to know. But we have to. You have to know them to execute them, right? You have to
Yep.
know them. That's why we're here. Keep on coming back. What do we got for next episode?
We're still discussing it right now. I know that there are a couple of different things. We may drop a
Oh, okay.
true payroll crime, but we'll have some discussions. Just stay
Ooh,
tuned.
yeah, but no, yes, stay tuned for sure, because guess what? State by state, we are gonna start covering what how we don't know how we're delivering it yet, but we are definitely gonna start including state by state what our employee rights are for different things. It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yes.
There's rights for deductions, there's rights for overtime, there's rights for this final pay termination, right? For I'm doing a class March 25th for payroll and HR pros on final paycheck rules.
Yes,
What
sir.
has to happen if in the event you get terminated? Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us today. We love you.
Peace.
Peace.
Before we sign off, here are a couple quick things. Don't forget to follow It's About Payroll on LinkedIn and It's About Your Paycheck on Facebook and TikTok. Thank you for being a part of our payroll community, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.